Right, we've got a man who's making waves in the quilting industry with his computer-generated quilt designs. Plus, we'll meet a quilt artist who uses his craft to express his softer side. It's a manopoly. Next on Simply Quilts. Welcome to Simply Quilts. I'm Alex Anderson. A keen eye and a flair for the dramatic is sometimes all it takes to create exceptional art quilts. That, and of course, a whole lot of skill. Man, oh man, has one artist in New Haven, Connecticut honed in on his skills. Tristan Blakeman's stunning man-made quilts aim to take traditional ideas and give them a little nudge into the new millennium.
It's surprising that there's nothing in my life that would make anyone believe that I would enjoy making quilts. I'm not particularly patient, I'm not particularly quiet or a low-key person, but there is something about sitting for many, many hours making a quilt, which is a very small, detailed thing, which for some reason totally relaxes me.
A lack of patience isn't the only thing that sets Tristan apart from your average quilter. In a field dominated by women, Tristan is one man who embraces his eccentricities.
People seem to be more interested in my ideas as a quilt maker than they ever were in anything else I did in my life. And I think it's because most men probably come to the craft with completely new eyes, a new vision. And they look at fabric and the construction and the parts of the quilt probably different than women do.
And Tristan's vision of fabric and color result in quilts that are bold and geometric.
I do incredibly organized, very symmetrical, very tightly crafted and small patches made into larger blocks, which are then made into larger pieces. However, unlike most people who work that way, I don't plan anything ahead of time.
This lack of planning doesn't seem to be having any ill effects on his creative process. Tristan is constantly stretching his boundaries and trying new things.
Most recently, I'm trying to get away from doing so much geometric work and creating quilts that have more of a collage quality. I find images from anywhere I can. Often the internet is a real wonderful resource. I can take the images I find, play with them in all kinds of computer programs, and then print them out on fabric right from the printer. Those I then assemble on other pieces of fabric to become what is essentially just a collage. I do make quilts in an improvisation manner, although they are much more organized looking than often improvisational quilts look. My own aesthetic just tends to be very organized and neat, and that's where my quilts come out.
But this precise aesthetic didn't come to him overnight. In fact, Tristan's creative roots didn't begin in quilting at all, but in the theater. When a play he was directing called for a specific piece of scenery, you guessed it, a quilt, Tristan's life was changed forever.
I couldn't seem to get anybody to make this quilt for me. I didn't see what the big deal was, but nobody would make it for me. So I figured I'd make it myself, and did.
He had to start from square one, learning everything from quilting terminology to the most basic stitches.
I mean, I wasn't even sure what a quilt was. I mean, it was a bedspread as far as I was concerned. I got a book out of the library, read up on it, and I made it. Within an hour of the very beginning of the cutting and sewing of the very first block, I just fell in love with it. It made me excited. I got very excited by what the colors could do next to each other, the depth that they could provide. Wasn't expecting it whatsoever, and just fell in love with the process.
And Tristan's love affair with quilting continues to this day.
What inspires me in terms of making quilts can be almost anything from the time I wake up. It can be a color combination, it can be a sound, and it can make me want to create something that has that same feeling or excitement about it in fabric.
This love of color and contrast is evident when you look at Tristan's vibrant work. But no matter what kind of quilt he's creating, he always holds true to his own unique vision.
I think the one thing that every quilt maker should always have a big sign of right over their sewing machine is my quilt, my rules.
Tristan, thanks so much for sharing your quilts with us. They are the best. They're so colorful, and I can tell. And also thank you to Tristan Blakeman. You can find all of the instructions from today's projects on our website. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Simply Quilts.